Hello everyone and welcome to the Tank Club. Today I want to have a little look at the changes coming to the Burning Embers skill from the tank's perspective and kind of show you where this might be useful. So there has been a change to the Dragon Knight skill Burning Embers, and it is going to be kind of beneficial for us as a tank, I would say, moving forward. Especially for people who struggle with survivability, this is going to be a good option to now use this skill potentially. So the change that's happened is we now slash an enemy with flame, dealing 3,076 flame damage and an additional 11,319 flame damage over 14 seconds. Now this ticks every 2 seconds, so we get 8 ticks of flame damage. You heal for 102% of the damage done with this ability. Enemies hit by the initial hit are afflicted with the burning status effect. So there's a couple of things here that we need to look at. So the cost of this skill with my current build and setup is 2,762 magicka. Now, as it says at the bottom there, we're going to get a guaranteed burning status effect. And so what that means is we're actually going to get 1,000 magicka back every single time you cast the skill at the start. So it's actually 1,000 magicka less. It's only 1,762 magicka to cast this skill. Next it says about the heal. So when we cast the initial skill, it's going to hit for 3,076. So we're going to get a heal, an initial heal from the initial cast, which is going to be big. And then we're going to get some smaller ticks of healing over time for 14 seconds. So every 2 seconds we're going to get a tick of healing. Now the reason why this is good is because if you consider the fact that this is only going to cost you 1,762 magicka to cast, then it's going to be a heal over time for 14 seconds. That is typically going to be a better option than casting something like Green Dragon Blood, which costs 4,000 magicka, and it's based on your missing health. So if you're at 80% health, you don't want to spend 4,000 magicka healing 33% of the 20% that's missing. You want to be getting something that's potentially just going to tick over a bit of time. So you could be casting Burning Embers. When you cast Igneous Shield, this gives you major mending, which buffs the healing, which is going to buff your Burning Embers as well. So rather than using a skill like Green Dragon Blood, which is not going to heal you to full health if you're at like 80% or 60%, it's not going to heal you to full. But if you were to combine something like Igneous Shield alongside Burning Embers, that is going to probably tick you up to full health. So if you just have a little look at some of the healing ticks we get from this skill. So when we use this skill, obviously the impact hit, you're going to see next to my character some green numbers. Those are the heals coming from Burning Embers. So the initial hit comes in, 2,829 heal, and then we've got a 1,488. So it's ticking for 1,488 consistently. If we do get a crit, it's going to obviously give us a bit more of a heal. It really just depends on whether we're able to crit or not. As a tank, it's quite rare to do a crit hit with something like this because we just typically wouldn't have very high crit. Now, if we bring in some Igneous Shield into this, all of a sudden our heal goes up to 1,721, so it's a couple of hundred extra. So if you are using Igneous Shield as well, you are going to get a bit more of a heal. So in terms of the tank perspective, this is a nice little skill for situations where you want to combine a burst heal, you want to combine a shield, you want to have your heal over time. You can now utilize all three, and the fact that this is so low in cost, 1,762 magicka, is a very, very small cost for quite a decent benefit. Now, if you also consider the fact, like if you were using something like Incratis as a monster set, then obviously Burning Embers is going to be quite useful as well because it's going to make Incratis proc on cooldown. If you've got this active at all times, you're going to proc your Incratis, you're going to get your 1,000 magicka back from the burning effect, and you're going to get your heal over time. So there are a number of situations where if you are struggling for incoming healing, then this is going to be a good skill for you. This is an option for you. And the heal you get from this as well is going to be a little bit more than what you get from something like Cinderstorm. So Cinderstorm is an AoE heal. It charges you every 1 second, but it's a bit of a smaller heal. So you are going to get a larger heal. If we compare it to another heal over time skill that you might be able to use, so Resolving Vigor, for example, it heals for a similar amount. Look, 2,670 is what we get from Resolving Vigor, but this only does a few ticks. It's a much quicker burst heal, but it's also a stamina cost, which is not ideal. Obviously, it's much easier to use magicka skills on a tank because we're able to get magicka recovery and incoming magicka while blocking, and we're not able to do that with stamina. So this is a fantastic option, and it's looking good for us next patch in terms of a little bit more survivability if we need it. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.